Hi guys, good morning, good afternoon, or evening, depending on what time you're listening to this. I'm happy that we want to continue from where we stopped on the MS 900 study series. If you are new to this channel, my name is Joseph Afisu. I'm a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional and a certified trainer. So looking at the MS 900 series from Microsoft Learn documents, we had earlier discussed everything that have to do with the very first module here, which is about Microsoft 365 cloud solution, and that cover like a lot, right? So today we will be looking at the second module, which is supposed to take around 2 hours 23 minutes, right? And our concentration today is going to really be on the very first topic. So let's open this second module here and look at what is inside of it. So if you come to this place, so what you discover is you have series of topics also inside of here. The very first one is what is Microsoft 365? And the next one is describe the productivity solutions of M365. Then having done that, we'll come to describe collaboration solution of Microsoft 365, and then we can go on to describe the device and cloud endpoint management concepts and deployment option in M365. And thereafter, to conclude that, we're going to look at describe the analytics and the administrative capabilities available in Microsoft 365. All these we are going to be treating in the future video, but our focal point now is to even understand what M365 is, right? So a lot of persons have questions around this, and we are going to actually unveil it to look at it. So I'm going to open the the introduction to this, and that is this. So what is it saying? As a form of introduction, it says you transform the way you and your organization work with M365, the modern AI-powered suite that empowers you and your team to do more. So whether you are launching a new idea, you are collaborating across departments, supporting frontline workers, M365 actually gives you the tool, to drive better business results with ease. So with the Office app, like the Word, the Excel, the PowerPoint are all incorporated into M365 space. And there are some services that also come with M365, which include the Outlook, the Teams, OneDrive, SharePoint, and you can mention them. And very recently, we now have what is called the Microsoft 365 Copilot. So in this module, you will learn about the M365 and how it has evolved from Office 365, right? So you would explore how M365 support hybrid and flexible work across organization, and from informing information workers to frontline workers and so on. So you also discover rather how M365 Copilot chats and M365 Copilot unlocks a new way of working. So for this is like the very um, last update, I would say like the very most recent update to the MS-900 study series. So after completing this module, what we'd expect you to be able to do is to be able to describe M365 and O365, and then the differences between them, right? So you're supposed to be able to describe how M365 empower both hybrid and flexible work, including support for frontline workers. So you are supposed to be able to describe the M365 Copilot and M365 Copilot charts and the differences between them. So that's going to basically be what we'll be looking at. So we'll pick on the next one now to define what M365 is. So in practical definition, you can look at M365 as a cloud-powered productivity platform that combines the familiar application like the Word, the Excel, the PowerPoint, Outlook, and then even more with intelligence security, device management, and powerful online services. So if you talk about the device and intelligence security, and especially when you talk about device management, you are really talking about M365, right? Because M365 is, later you're going to see how it is different from O365, that is Microsoft 365 and Office 365. And then it's a powerful, online service. So you need to take note of that, that it's an online service and then designed for modern work. So M35 supports secure collaboration, communication across both your desktop, your web apps, your mobile devices, helping users to stay productive, and wherever they are, they can have access to their data, speaking to exactly what they have access to based on what is called Microsoft Microsoft Graph, that is the word. So M365 is actually built for all the benefits that you can speak about the cloud space, which include flexibility, scalability, elasticity, disaster recovery. You can mention more and more, right? So meetings that involve need of all individual in the organization, like there is a lot. So when you speak about M365, in summary, you can call it a productivity suite because it incorporates like a lot of applications and services. So M365 for business and enterprise. So what's the difference between a business and enterprise? So this actually confuses some people, especially when it comes to licensing, right? You need to be aware that a business is not the same thing as an enterprise. Yes, I mean business is not the same thing as an enterprise because a business in this regard or in M365 is seen as an organization whose workers are less than 300. So we are classified as an organization 1 to 300 is, or 299 as the case may be, is seen as business, right? So from 300 and above, we can say, okay, it's an enterprise, okay? So for business and enterprise user, M365 operate as shared responsibility services. What does it mean? That there are services within the M365 that are your responsibility. So if you watch the previous video, you will really understand the differences between the PaaS, the SaaS, and the IaaS in terms of the sharing of the responsibility. Um, and especially when you now talk about deployment model, rather, I talk about private, public, and then hybrid cloud, you really know a lot about what's it called now, shared responsibility model. So this means that while Microsoft manages the infrastructure part of it, you control how services are configured in terms of users, in terms of their passwords, complexities, and a whole lot of stuff that you want to also tweak to fit what you are talking about. So what are the core services that are involved in Microsoft 365? The core services include the already mentioned the office applications, you have your emails, you have your file storage. So the chief file storage access available or services available in M365 are OneDrive and SharePoint. So OneDrive speaks to an individual's file, while SharePoint speak to the files of a team. So just take note of these differences and it would really be of help to you in a more advanced form, right? So Teams and communications also there, right? So Microsoft Teams, you have your SharePoint in terms of co-authoring and all of that. Then you have what's called Viva Engage. Viva Engage is like the social media of an organization. So secure AI chats, which is powered by ChatGPT 4.0. This is what's finally came up later, right? And then you have security, compliance, and identity management in terms of Microsoft Entra ID, Microsoft Defender, XDR, and extended detection and response is the meaning of XDR, just in case you are just coming across the word for the first time. So device management in terms of Intune also comes with M365. Just depends on the subscription that you are making use of. So seamless work across all devices, and then the rules, right? What happened, the level of permissions that you have on each of the file is determined by a smart, intelligent service called the Microsoft Graph. So what is a Microsoft Graph? Microsoft Graph is like a web, right? That's in what's the name of what this word encapsulations, right? So it encapsulates all the services together and have them speak to one another, right? To identify what role you have in a particular file or what level of access are you supposed to have on a SharePoint site, as the case may be, right? So Microsoft Graph is actually a gateway to rich people-centered data and intelligence in M365. So Microsoft 365 learn from users and collect insight through Microsoft Graph by analyzing the data and activities of users um, across Microsoft 365. So Microsoft Graph plays a vital role in M365 Copilot, right? An AI-powered productivity tool that can leverage in the M365 using the large language model. I will explain this now in clear terms or very simple terms. The Microsoft Graph actually, when a user prompts the M365 Copilot, it is the Microsoft Graph that determines whether to release the answer to the user or not. And whether the answer should be released to the user or not is based on the fact if the user has the access to the knowledge base where or has permission to the knowledge base where the prompt is supposed to spool out information. So when a user prompts the AI, right? So the AI sends a signal to Microsoft Graph to confirm if the user that is requesting for that information has that level of access to the file. Let's say, for example, I want to view the salary of all the employees in the organization, right? So if I want to do that and I do not have access to the HR SharePoint site, then I'm expecting that to fail, right? Because I do not have access to the SharePoint site where the salaries of employees are saved. So that becomes a problem. So um, this is an AI, the Copilot itself is the AI integrated into M365. So just take note of that, and the permission is controlled with what you have on the Microsoft Graph. So yeah, so that's what you need to know about M365, right? The productivity tool, cloud-based, and then yeah. So let's go on to the next one that say the differences between the M365 and O365. I'll bring up my paint at this point so that we'll just quickly see the differences between what we are saying. So bringing up my paint, we have, okay, I think this is just perhaps something that need to be expanded, right? So if it's something I can do quickly, I think that's failing. So I don't mind, I will just close it out and explain to you. Like M365, I think I know what to do. Notepad, all right, excuse me. Notepad is opening on another screen. I'll just drag it over here, and then I can really just do like a sniping too. Okay, just so we can write some things. Okay, cool. So you have M365, right? And then you have O365. Okay, so Office 365, right? Office 365 that you have here and Microsoft 365 are not the same. So the M365, right, is equivalent to Office 365, 65, right, plus what is called EMNS plus Windows 10, 10/11. So what does this mean? So if you have Office 365, we've described for you, you have Word, you have Excel, you have PowerPoint, you have Outlook, and so on, right? But if you have M365, so what that goes to tell is that you have O365 itself, right? And you also have extra other features called Enterprise Mobility and Security, okay, plus Windows 10 or 11 license. So M365 is greater than O365 because of what? The presence of what? EMNS and Windows 10/11. I hope this is going to make sense to you so that when we see the Microsoft doc itself, it will be clear to you. So over the last 10 years, right, Microsoft introduced Office 365. It's a SaaS application, right, so that you may be familiar with and used, right? So evolving, so that's the way the evolution has been, right? So there was movement a lot, so M365 has come with like a lot. So over the last several years, Microsoft Cloud productivity apps and services have grown well beyond what people traditionally think of Office, right? Which has led Microsoft renaming the Office 365 to Microsoft 365 to reflect the extension of features and the benefits beyond their core applications. So Microsoft 365 brings together the best in class productivity apps and Office 365 with advanced device management. So you need to be aware of, especially this advanced device management, intelligence security, which come from the enterprise mobility and security, or otherwise called EMNS, and involved online services. So now what's the difference? It's just going to be what we had looked at earlier. So Office 365 um, is a cloud-based service, right? That include apps such as this, Word, OneNote, alongside services such as Exchange, Teams, and all of that, right? It's a cloud-based service, that include the same Office applications and services plus Windows 10. So M365, right? If M365 is including the traditional stuff that you know and EMNS, right? Enterprise Mobility and Security plus Windows 10, which is probably in the subsequent write-up. So there are many subscriptions that you want to check out, right? For small business, for large enterprise, even for education, for non-profits, governmental organization, personal and family plan. There are different plans that you can have, but just note something. You have M365, you have O365. Okay, but licensing will be covered later in the course of these studies. So how Microsoft 365 empowers hybrid work? How does it do that? So this is practically going to be like you have your laptop in the office, you could work from the office, and because they are cloud-based, you can also um, use these applications in the house. So employee experience is beautiful. It fosters an inclusive company culture, increase employee well-being because of course on the tip of your finger you have your device to work. There are learnings in almost all the applications, and then you grow while even making sure that all your workers have the resources they need to succeed with their Microsoft Viva, right? So you have a lot, right? In terms of productivity, you can have your online meetings at home, you can stay in the office, so automate tasks using Power Platform tools like the Power Automate, Power BI, the Power Apps, to increase operational efficiency. Then you talk about the how to schedule and streamline operations by integrating scheduling tools like Planner, like List, and Bookings. So it's a whole lot, right, that you just need to be aware of. So uh, there are lots. In terms of security, it is secure, considers that as paramount feature. So you can keep your workers completely connected across the world so long they have access to the internet, right? So this is how M365 can empower workers in hybrid kind of setup to have like the best kind of what's it called now, work experience. Okay, So going further, you will see describe how M35 Copilot unlocks the new way. So while all this were going on, before you know the advent, it's not that like an advent of AI, right? But AI has now come to revolutionize the workspace, and the use of AI now become very alarming. And Microsoft thought it very nice to bring up a product called the Microsoft 365 Copilot. So just as a form of introduction, in today's fast-paced world of work, we all want to spend more time um, on tasks that actually can inspire us instead of spending our time on the traditional things that we do, right? And you want to make impact like within the smallest piece of time, right? But too often our days are filled with repetitive tasks, endless emails that you're composing, scattered information everywhere that you need to solve, right? So if work, what if work could feel easier, more creative? I think this is what inspired Microsoft to come up with the Copilot, and then even lead to more with fun, introducing Microsoft 365 Copilot. So 365 Copilot actually does a lot. So now what is Microsoft 365 Copilot charts, right? If you see Copilot charts, right, you should know that it is different from M365 Copilot, right? But we'll try to explain that. So first, it's all started with with Copilot charts. Microsoft 365 Copilot charts is cross-application chat experience at center of Microsoft 365 Copilot. So if you have the Microsoft 365 Copilot, so it cuts across all the applications. You're in Outlook, you can interact. You're in Word, you can interact. You are in Teams, you can interact with it. So it serves as an AI powered, a go-to kind of chat for work, and is available at no additional cost with your Microsoft 365 subscription. That is speaking to the Microsoft 365 Copilot chats, right? So it's powered by GPT 4.0 and the latest large language models, which is also called LLM. So with web grounding, so what does it mean? Use that to understand what you are asking it. The Copilot chat has to help you to make like your life smarter, right? Now, but for Microsoft 365 Copilot, without you having the word chat at the front of it, right? So Microsoft 5 Copilot is a powered AI assistant at work, right? So it is designed to enhance productivity, to spark creativity, and to transform how you operate. It still uses the same um, ChatGPT 4.0, and then, but this time, what happened is that when the information is grounded in your work data, they walk through the Microsoft graph, like I mentioned earlier, to check what permissions you have on the knowledge source before it can give you the kind of answers that you are requesting. So Copilot delivers intelligence, context-aware support by drawing from your email, your chats, your meetings, your documents, and every other thing you have. Seamlessly integrate with all your apps, and then you can request something from, let's say, from Outlook while you are in Teams, and then you will get it, or from Teams while you are in Outlook, or you could even be at the Copilot login homepage, and then you can request any information you're looking for, because it uses like the Microsoft Graph, which is like a mesh that helps you look into the whole environment, and then gives you response based on the level of permissions that you have. So it can be used in Word, in Excel, right, in PowerPoint, in Outlook, in Teams, right, as per having permissions to read, not just the charts, correct? So Copilot chat becomes more robust, where you can ask questions, generate content, and quickly find information using the data that is available at your work based on your permission. So if you do not have Microsoft 365 Copilot license, you'll be limited with Microsoft 365 Copilot charts. But if you go further to have the Microsoft 365 Copilot license, then your chat even becomes better because you're now using the Pro version, right? So Microsoft 365 Copilot is actually a booster in terms of the work that you do. So while you're able to differentiate between O365 and M365 as per the M365 is equal to O365 plus EMNS and Windows 10, right? The same way too, I want you to be able to differentiate between the Copilot and Copilot chat. So Copilot chat is free, right? If so long you have access to Microsoft Entra tenants, you have access to use the Copilot chat. But if you want like a better experience in it to follow you into all your applications and have access to them based off on what your Microsoft graph is going to provide responses to, then you want to make sure that you go for the subscription one, which is the Microsoft 365 Copilot. And it can really help do like a lot of things. So Microsoft 365 Copilot is something that we can keep talking about. So but we need to move on to the module assessment, and let's even see what kind of questions you that is preparing to go write exam, what kind of questions are you going to see? So what's it asking? What is M365? So let's see the question. It said it's a cloud-based subscription service that consists of apps and services such as Office app, Teams, Windows class, security, and more. So let's see what other options are. A cloud-based service that automatically creates a new type of Windows virtual machine, which is not a one-time purchase for innovative Office app to install on. So this is talking about Office Professional Plus. So this, excuse me, you can have this question during the course of interview where the recruiter could be asking you what's the difference between Office Professional Plus and Office 365. So Office Professional Plus allows you to pay like one-off time purchase for the license, and then you can use it for innovative Office application you can install on multiple machines, right? But this is a cloud-based service, right? So you have to go for this because it's a cloud-based subscription, right? So, but we'll see the answer at the end of the day. How many questions do we have? Maybe around five or four, just four. So let's check the second one. What is hybrid work? Say a model that supports traditional work in person in the office, which is outrightly known. A work model that only supports remote offsite work, right? That's making sense a way. A model, we're talking about remote, a work model that only supports remote, comma, offsite work. So let's see what the third option is. Hybrid work is a model that supports a combination, I think that word makes sense, of traditional in-person office work and remote offsite work. I think this looks nice as an answer, but we will know at the end of the day. So what is the purpose of Microsoft 365 in the era of hybrid and flexible work? So to limit employees' choice of workplace and schedule, definitely no. Then to empower only information workers to work remotely, that's not correct. To provide digital tool for all workers to connect, collaborate, and be productive and secure in a hybrid world. This looks nice, right? So, what is M35 Copilot and how does it help users? So, a social media platform developed by Microsoft, of course not. A new game developed is not a game, so it's an AI powered tool that works alongside users in Microsoft 365 app to unleash creativity, unlock productivity, and develop skill. So let's just submit and see if we get all of them correct or if there's anyone we need to. Okay, so we passed all of them and then we scored 100%. So now we need to move on to the last thing, which is like the module summary. So if I click on this, what are we going to summarize with? Saying that in this module, you learn M365 as being a cloud power productivity platform that combine trusted Office apps with intelligence, security, device management, and AI-powered service to help people and organization work smarter. So you explore how Microsoft 365 has evolved from O365 and how it support hybrid, flexible work across all roles, including information and frontline workers. So finally, you gain insight into M365 Copilot and Copilot charts and how they bring. So we say Copilot charts goes beyond into your applications, while Copilot charts is just merely a chart available for to anyone who has Microsoft Entra tenant. So and how they bring the power of AI into your everyday work to enhance productivity, spark creativity, and transform how you operate. Now, it's expected that you should be able to describe M365 and Office 365 and the differences between them. Then you should be able to describe how M365 empowers both hybrid and flexible work, right? Including support for frontline workers. So you should be able to now describe Microsoft 365 Copilot and Copilot charts, and then describe them and then differentiate them. So this looks good. So we can say that we are done with this particular module. But if you've not subscribed to this channel yet, maybe you want to check it out because we have a lot more to cover in the coming days. So thank you very much and have a great day. Peace.